how big is Sennheiser's market in India?
Extremely important market for us, and for business communication, India is the fastest growing market we have.
Say when you're entering an Indian market, and now we see an emerging trend of efficiently priced or lower priced audio products for consumers.
Yes.
So is Sennheiser planning to maybe get into that at a larger scale for Indian market at least?
No.
Can you throw some light on some of the new products that Sennheiser has?
Yeah. So some of the new products that we recently launched are
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Tech Talks. I'm Vandana Nair, Senior Tech Journalist at AM Media House. Today I have with me a very interesting guest, Ron Holtdijk, EVP of Business Communication at Sennheiser. Hi Ron, welcome to India and welcome to Tech Talks.
Thank you for having me.
So Ron, I'd like to jump right in. What brings you to India?
What brings me to India is basically two things. First and foremost, the Sennheiser India team had a phenomenal year. So I'm here to celebrate with the team the successes they had in 2024, recognizing how wonderful they did, and just also learning some of their secrets, what made them so successful, and what can we learn from this also for the rest of the world. And building on that, obviously India is a country with a stellar reputation, and we see that India is getting more and more global exposure and has a global influence as well. So also for us, for Sennheiser, it's understanding how that is something that we could work with, benefit from, build on to continue to build our success in India.
Got it. And so did you get any interesting insights from India's customers and behaviors?
Absolutely. I've noticed that how intertwined India is with the rest of the world. I mean, I visited many GCCs over the last few days, and I've learned a lot about how those entities are having an influence on the rest of the world, and how India has this vast pool of talent. I've learned that it's the second largest population of English-speaking people besides the US. There's a lot of things that are happening in India, so that's extremely interesting for Sennheiser. So I've learned a lot. As I told you earlier, I arrived on Monday. Yeah. It's Wednesday now, I believe, and I'm overwhelmed with everything I've learned. I still need to connect the dots. So once I travel back to Europe, I need to spend a lot of time on my own, on the long flight, to try to connect all the dots and see what to make of all this. But what I've seen so far is extremely impressive and promising.
Got it. And how big is the market for you, for Sennheiser's market in India?
So India is in terms of single countries, it's actually a market that sits in the top 10. So it's an extremely important market for us. And it's also the fastest growing market for Sennheiser business communication. I probably should tell you that Sennheiser has three distinct business units. Business communication is one, professional audio is another, and Neumann is the third business unit. And then we have, should say 3.5 or 4 business units. We also have mobility, something we recently started, where we deliver audio experiences and audio systems for cars, Cupra, Smart, and Morgan. But within, for business communication, India is the fastest growing market we have.
Okay. Yeah. So, and for mobility solutions, is that something also in India that you're looking at, or that's in the long run?
No, the brands that we currently work with are European brands, Cupra, Smart, and Morgan. Again, as I said, we just started, so we're just getting our feet wet with those brands, and there's really no telling where this can go next.
Got it. Can you throw some light on some of the new products that Sennheiser has in the enterprise segment in particular?
Yeah, so some of the new products that we recently launched are a TeamConnect Ceiling M ceiling microphone. And this is really like in a room we're in right now. You use a microphone in the ceiling to basically pick up all the audio in the room. And normally you might remember everybody has a microphone in front of them, which in itself is a nuisance. It creates a lot of clutter on the table. So what we are doing now is remove all the clutter from the table, make it as clean and as technology less as possible by using ceiling microphones in the ceiling that pick up the audio from all the participants. So that's one product that we recently launched, which also is Teams and Microsoft Teams certified. And it's an important alliance partner for us, making sure that our products are connecting to the Microsoft Teams environment, because as you can imagine, they're often used in virtual meetings, where there's a far end and a near end. So that's one product. The other product that I should share with you is a collaboration bar. That is basically like a sound bar, but also has video speakers and microphones in it. And that's also used for virtual meetings. So, and there we also Team certified. And there, we talked a lot about AI. AI is obviously a phenomenon that we see in a lot of discussions going on. There we use AI to enhance the inclusion. So imagine a far end and a near end, so people sitting in this meeting room, and the far end then has, if you only have a panorama shot, you see all the participants, but you're not really zooming in on the one that speaks. So with our collaboration bar, we can actually use AI to create personal tiles. So you can see each and individual speaker in a tile on screen. So it creates or enhances the inclusion for the far end participants.
Okay, and this is a new product?
That's a new product, yeah. We launched in 2024. And so it's really brand new, and we're getting our feet wet with that product. But so far, the reception has been extremely good, especially on the audio part, because obviously that's where Sennheiser is known. That's what we always try to do when we bring products to the market. We focus on the audio. The audio is obviously something that we have to live up to our reputation. We are an 80-year-old German engineering company. We started with microphones, we started with audio, and audio is dear to our heart. So audibly better products is something that we always strive for. And that's also back to that product that we recently introduced. We're getting a lot of positive feedback on the audio quality. Yeah.
So for that specific product, you would like to have more collaborations with, say, big tech companies where they would be exclusively using your products, something like that?
Exclusively using, how do you mean?
Like, for example, the meets that you're talking about, it's meet certified, and where you're having like a virtual call with different people. Yeah. So the audience would be the best from these big tech companies, right? I mean, do you think that, or it's like a broad market, you don't need to really exclusively collaborate with anyone?
No, I think for us, for Sennheiser, it's extremely important that we are perceived as an agnostic brand. Because being agnostic, we feel, is an ultimate sign of customer centricity. We don't want to lock customers into Zoom. We don't want to lock customers into Teams. We believe that true customer centricity comes from allowing the customer to use whatever technology he wants to use. So whether it's Teams, whether it's Zoom, whether it's WebEx from Cisco, it really doesn't matter. Our technology works with all those platforms and is certified for all those platforms. So in that sense, we don't want to lock customers in.
Got it. Yeah. And on the AI bit that we touched upon, would you be able to explain a little more on how it actually works? And do you think we are kind of adopting more of AI technologies in the past 2 years versus Sennheiser has already maybe been working on it and we have not been aware of it?
Yeah. So I've mentioned this ceiling microphone a moment ago, right? So that microphone that sits in the ceiling that picks up the audio in the room. What we can do with AI for ceiling microphones is really use it as a means to separate noise from human voice. And by doing so, increasing the audio quality and speech intelligibility even further. So AI is a tremendous tool and help in enhancing the audio and speech intelligibility even further.
Got it. And how do you look at your competitors? What is the differentiating factor for Sennheiser?
Audio. I can be really, really quick and with that. Audio is the differentiating factor. I mean, we always strive out to deliver the best possible audio, because we ultimately believe that that's also what customers appreciate. Within business communication, we focus on corporate meeting rooms as well as higher education. So think of lecture halls, think of classrooms. Just imagine a classroom or a lecture hall with bad audio. Professor not heard, is a lecture wasted, right? I mean, that's what we really focus on. And also in meeting rooms, just imagine that the far end is not able to understand what is being said in the meeting room. That's a waste of company money, because the meeting isn't successful. I often use the example of, if you take a virtual meeting without video is a nuisance, right? It's annoying. But the virtual meeting without good audio, that's a disaster. Yeah. So audio is absolutely always the number one thing that we look for in differentiating.
And Sennheiser has always got a particular audience, say in production or studios or maybe enterprises.
Yes.
But say when you're entering an Indian market and now we see an emerging trend of efficiently priced or lower priced audio products for consumers.
Yes.
So is Sennheiser planning to maybe get into that at a larger scale for Indian market at least?
No. Our focus needs to be. First and foremost, we pride ourselves of being a German company, German engineering, German quality. And we believe that, when you think about the examples I just gave, a virtual meeting or a lecture hall where a professor lectures, audio is such an integral part of that business model. You shouldn't compromise on the audio quality. And we see that customers are willing to pay not an endless amount of money, but are willing to spend a considerable amount of money or budgets on high quality audio products.
Got it. And how would you say workplace communication has transformed over the years?
Yes. So first and foremost, hybrid work, right? I mean, who imagined that pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, that we would have a world where hybrid work is here to stay? So I think also in India, I've heard that also hybrid work here is something that's an integral part of how the Indian business world is working. So we see that here. So hybrid work is certainly one of the trends that we see. Making collaboration learning easier. It's still so annoying that we are in meeting rooms and we can't make technology intuitive and seamless and easy. So a lot of work still to do. To make it easier, to make it seamless, to make it effortless. So that's a trend that we see also where AI can help. Right back to AI. AI obviously is a very interesting technology that can help us to make collaboration and learning easier. Whether it's voice control, whether it's gesture control, whether it's picking up the mood of a voice and doing something with that. So also there, AI is a interesting technology to help making collaboration and learning easier.
Got it. And what do you see are the barricades or challenges for enterprise audio solutions?
A bad case.
In terms of maybe like challenges or limitations that you see when you're catering to your customers?
Focusing on the technology instead of the problem. I see too many cases where you look at meeting rooms and you see all sorts of technology being installed and included, whereby you think, is that really helping in solving a customer problem? Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we still have a long way to go. So instead of, trying to put as much technology in the room as possible, which may commercially is interesting, but what can you do to solve real customer problems? So what are you trying to accomplish in a room, and how does technology help you to solve the problems that you have in those rooms? Okay. So not being a customer-centric, not focusing on the problem, but focusing on the technology, because you're a technology company per se.
Got it. Yeah. Again, coming back to the India bit, are you looking to have more R&D and innovation setting up in India?
As I just said, I came in on Monday. I'm just overwhelmed with the opportunity. What I hear, facts. India has a vast pool of talent. I've learned that there are over 3 million STEM graduates every year. I visit a university that delivers 400 PhDs every year. So there is no denying that there is a vast amount of talent in India. What that means for Sennheiser and how we deal with this and how we tap into that opportunity, we still need to figure that out. I'm not ruling it out. It's a very interesting market.
Got it. Yeah. Just touching upon your personal journey, you have been in this industry for quite some time.
Yeah.
You've been with Bose for more than 16 years. Yeah. What have you learned over the years in terms of, again, adoption consumer adoption, and also the trends in which the audio technology is evolving?
Yeah. Well, it's the technology and growth and development seems to be exponential. It's really fascinating to see what happened in the last few years when I started, and that's longer than I care to remember. When I started, it was quite traditional, and technology wasn't developing as fast as it was the last few years with AI and all those things that come to the market. So I think we are in a very interesting phase right now. With the exponential growth of development, and there's no telling where this will go. So it's an interesting time from that perspective. And Sennheiser just needs to try to keep up as best as they can, right? I mean, there's so many opportunities out there for us to tap into.
And have you seen any trend in consumers? Like, for example, a decade ago, they would have wanted a particular thing, but right now their requirements are something very different.
Yeah.
So any interesting
I think what we see is in consumer also is obviously the immersive audio. That's definitely something that we were seeing in the consumer space. Just so you know, you probably know this, but 2 years ago, a little bit longer, we sold our consumer business to the Swiss-based Sonova, and Sennheiser now continues as a exclusively professional audio company. But that doesn't mean that we don't have anything to say about or any opinions about the consumer business. So immersive audio is one. What I also notice is that maybe a few years ago we were still a bit hesitant or shy to use voice control and gestures. No longer. That's a perfectly normal thing to do, to use our voice to control audio and use gestures to control the audio system. So also there, I think it really helps also with the exponential growth of technology to have customers embracing those kind of alternative ways of managing audio systems.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here's a question. Like, for example, now you have these big tech companies like Apple who have their earbuds, but now they're going into catering to people with hearing problems, providing different kind of solutions in the healthcare. Is that something Sennheiser might be looking at in the future?
Well, Sonova is, right? I mean, Sonova by nature is a company that has its origin in building hearing aid devices. Mm-hmm. And they bought Sennheiser to branch also out into the consumer audio business. And I think for them, working with Sennheiser, maybe ultimately use the technology of Sennheiser to improve the audio quality of hearing aids, definitely. But also, if you don't use hearing aids, we have technology called Mobile Connect, for instance, that we use in universities to help inclusion. Normally, when somebody has a hearing aid, he needs to sit at a dedicated place. And with our technology, you can basically sit anywhere and use your personal phone to tap into the Wi-Fi system that helps you then to understand what the professor is saying. So also there, we're doing all sorts of things to enhance inclusion, to promote inclusion, by using our technology.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. So I think that's also been fueled by a lot of tech adoption, right?
Yes.
Like if you look at traditional universities where you couldn't be using or utilizing these devices.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was by the virtue of the adoption of the mobile phone that we could introduce this technology. Absolutely. Right? So what I spoke about, Sennheiser Mobile Connect, only works when you have a mobile phone, and everybody has a mobile phone, and you connect that to the local Wi-Fi system, and then you're able to hear what the professor is saying.
Okay. Great. And since we're talking about audio, music, I would like to know, what kind of music do you listen to?
So I like, I mean, it's very tragic. I mean, she recently died in a car accident. Angie Stone, I don't know if you know her. Angie Stone is a kind of a soul singer. I like that a lot, like jazz, soul. Jill Scott, so that's the music I love to listen to. It helps me to relax. Yeah.
And you listen to it with your Sennheiser?
Of course I do. Of course I do. Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Ron, for this.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was great meeting you.